You know what time it is.
How it all works.
Come on.
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 Welcome to How It All Works, where we help you use live streaming to grow and engage your audience, funnel clients to your business, and establish yourself as a thought leader. We believe your live stream is your digital storefront because there's no better way to share your superpowers with the world than to let people experience it live. I'm Kirk Nugent, the Geek Speaker Preacher, and I help small businesses, faith-based entities, and entrepreneurs simplify live video mechanics so they can shine a floodlight on their brand. We do this through how-to videos released once a week on Sundays, live video strategy, ebooks, masterclasses, coaching, one-on-one sessions, and courses. I'm a self-professed Jesus geek, former IT executive and missionary, and longtime broadcast engineer turned content creator and live video coach. And I'm passionate, extremely passionate about seeing people just like you achieve their live video goals. We invite you to join the How It All Works family by hitting that subscribe button right now. For updates, discounts, and giveaways, you're gonna wanna join our mailing list at kirkrnugent.com/sign up. Listen, live video is a golden opportunity for your business, your side hustle, or your passion project. Subscribe today and let's figure out how it all works. Woo, man, we are here. Welcome to another episode of How It All Works, Convos and Collabs. Excited today. We're in for a treat. We got the Queen of Zoom. That's one of the names. I know some people might say she's the Queen of Presentations. I don't know, but on her website it says, create engaging and professional online presentations. I love it. So we're gonna get into all of those things. Excited about it, and I'm excited that you're here. I see you greeting one another in the chat already. That is cool. Make sure you go ahead and tag someone, share this. Want to make sure we get in as many eyeballs in here as possible. And if you're a part of my replay squad, you know what to do. Leave a comment because I make sure I respond to all the comments. Let's get our announcements going real quick. Listen, I always have to make sure I do this. We have graphics packages for sale for $30. We have the sunset package, the royal and blue package. We've got the black and red package. We've got the vibranium package. Okay. Actually, there's 5 packages. I can't remember what the other one is. But anyway, we got graphics packages for sale on the website, kirkrnugent.com. Make sure you get a chance to check that out. On the store page of the website, we also have our ebook, 31 live streaming tips to grow your audience. So definitely would love for you to be able to check that out. Always want to make sure I share that with folks because I get in trouble. People who have known me for a long time, who've been watching the show, they're like, you never say enough about your book. So I'm excited to see some of that. And I'm just excited to see these comments coming through. Denise is here. Laura is here. Kanique is here. That's my wife. Shout out to my wife, y'all. It was her birthday this past Wednesday. She celebrated a milestone birthday. So excited for her. We had a great celebration over the weekend. Some friends came in town. You know, that's always fun to have some friends come in town. But yeah, this is the graphics package. Composition remote production. If you have a live show and you don't want to figure out the tech, you just want to put your value out there, we will take care of all of the behind the scenes stuff. We'll take care of getting it all out there, SEO, all that stuff. And then you just show up and provide what you have to provide to the world. If you have that God-given calling on your life, don't let the tech stand in the way. Come to somebody like us. It doesn't have to be us, but find a remote producer. They're generally inexpensive, in terms of what your cause is. And especially if you're a business or a brand and you want to use live video to really shine a floodlight on what you do, your secret sauce, your superpower, then definitely check us out at Composition Remote Live Production. You can find that information on kirkrnugent.com as well. Man, one of the things that I keep on hearing from folks is, man, where you get your shirts from? The shirts are there. HowItAllWorks.com/shop. All of the shirts are there. All these shirts are there. This was the throw-in shirt from last month. There's a new throw-in shirt this month. So if you buy anything from the store, you will get the throw-in shirt for this month. So definitely check that out when you get a chance. We had our first of 5 masterclass previews today. First of 5, right? So we have the masterclass coming up. Did I mention that we have the masterclass? The Ecamm masterclass is coming up. Anybody remember that the Ecamm masterclass is coming up? I want to make sure you guys are aware of this. I see Denise says, "Happy birthday, Lady Nugent." Thank you. Donald Oliver Ministries is here. That's what's up. Rob the Maritimer is here. I see Albert is here. Living Water Quilter is here as well. Excited to see all of you guys in the chat engaging. Masterclass, however, Ecamm Masterclass this coming Sunday, noon to 2 p.m., $67. Listen, it's 2 hours of in-depth overview, all functions and features, and the good stuff, right? We have some bonuses in there as well. You'll see that promo video a little later, but I want to make sure you guys are aware. Masterclass, yes, kirkarnugent.com/masterclass. Go there, register, get your seat. It's not unlimited, right? And every day this week, I'm going to give you one more feature that we will go over in the masterclass. 12:30 every day this week. 12:30 my time, right? That's central. We will be going over this stuff for the masterclass. And last month's masterclass was on StreamYard, and that masterclass is now available as a course. We broke it up into 8 modules. It's now available as a course. So, hey, if you don't catch it live, you can catch it as a course. So definitely want to make sure you guys are aware of that. Make sure you get a chance to check that out. Convos and Collabs for the month of November. December, I've already booked up. January, booked up. We're looking at some stuff for February now. Some of those weeks in January, we are going to take a little break, right? Not going to go straight through the holidays, but we are booked for the month of January. We're looking at some stuff for February, some special things for February coming up. I'm about to drive, but I'm so glad to be listening. Such valuable information. And I've only been on here for 2 minutes. Denise Janine, thank you so much for that comment. But these are the people that we have on the show. I always have to pinch myself when I think about the fact that people, these giants, these people that I look up to, people whose content I consume, are willing to come and not only chat with me, but also engage with the How It All Works audience. And I'm excited to serve as your host in this fashion. So the first week of the month, we did have Justin Koo. Last week, we had Diana Gladney. Now we have Cat Mulvihill. And I'm excited to have her, our friend from across the border, the northern border, and I'm excited to have her come through and hang out with us today. And man, listen, we have her quote on screen here now. This is a quote from an unknown source. We were chatting about this. I was like, man, it's a really great quote. It actually works. Look outside for inspiration, but inside for guidance. Look outside for inspiration, but inside for guidance. I love that. I'm excited to be able to get into our discussion today with Kat right after our intro video. Let's go. Well, we want to welcome to today's show. We want to welcome to today's show, Cat Mulvihill. Come on, How It All Works audience, you know what to do. Let her know in the comments that you are excited that she's here. You're excited about what we're going to share. Excited about this conversation. I mean, just a show of hands real quick as we get started. Anybody use Zoom? Anybody? I see Cat's hand is raised. Anybody use Zoom out there?
I do.
Kat, how are you this evening? Yeah, this evening. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited to be here, and I love that applause. I feel pretty good.
That is amazing. That is amazing. So folks are already saying, yes, me. People are saying me. Gary Jones says, welcome. Shireen Taylor says, good evening / morning. She's across the pond, across the Atlantic, over in England, I believe it is. I see that British flag there. That's what's up. Shireen, thank you so much for being here. Wow, applause. Yeah, listen, we want to welcome our guests with some zest, right? Give them something to look forward to. This is going to be amazing. Yes, Shireen says, I use Zoom, right? Donald Oliver Ministries says, good evening, Kat. So we got some good engagement happening already in the chat. But Kat, man, listen, we've got 21 people on the live today. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out. So Kat says she's doing well. I hope that you guys are doing well in the comments as well. And I am going to throw up our first question. I'm doing that because this first question is one that we always start with, right? The first 2 questions, these are the ones that the audience has said, Kirk, don't change these. We'd love hearing these answers from your guests because it just kind of opens our minds up to all the ways that people come at this whole content creator thing. So the first question, Kat, and it's slightly different from the second, right, is we want you to tell us a little bit about who you are and and your relationship to live streaming, right? We want to hear that, or content creation even. The next question is going to be more your origin story. But so this is kind of like your current, like this is where I am. This is how I relate to live streaming. And then we definitely want to get into like, how'd you get here? So Kat, talk to us about, there may be somebody who is not aware of who you are or the greatness that is. So we want to make sure that they understand all that you do.
Thank you. So I am a trainer and a facilitator. I love to teach people things. I love to make things that seem potentially complicated a lot easier to understand. That is what I live for, people having those aha moments.
Yeah.
And not that long ago, I was focused more on self-development, understanding yourself, how you work, how to get unstuck. I would teach about the Enneagram, the 4 tendencies. And it was really that self-development. But what happened is during COVID, when everything shut down, I ended up spending a lot more time learning, okay, how do I teach these concepts in Zoom in a virtual environment where I'm giving as engaging of an experience in a workshop as I would if I were in front of these people in person. So what ended up happening is a lot of people would say to me after, how did you show a graphic in that Zoom call? Or how did you share your screen like that? How did we see you beside your slides?
Right.
So I started to notice that there's a lot of curiosity about how you can run a more professional Zoom meeting. How do you run a workshop? How do you transition to that virtual format?
Nice.
And I knew that the world kind of needed it. So I decided to completely change my business in January. And I just started putting out content. So I had been live streaming prior to that. I started my YouTube channel just over, I guess, last summer. So last 2020. And
you're at 6,600 subscribers. Whoa!
It's doing well. I'm very proud.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
It didn't start that way. Most of my live streams for the first 4 or 5 months were just kind of, I was really excited to see 1 or 2 people. Sometimes it was no one, and I just kept showing up regularly. But when I changed that content and really found that thing that, when you combine what you love to teach with what people want to learn, there's some real magic happens. Not that no one wanted to learn the other stuff, but I think timeliness is important, and there was the relevance to that. Yeah. And so that kind of came together. And I know I see CK in here, Paul. I saw Paul earlier. They were with me when I would just have kind of no one showing up, and
that is always cool.
That change. Yeah.
It's so always cool when you have those people. There's a YouTuber that I follow, Joseph Solomon is his name. His channel used to be called Chase God TV, and I've been following him from when he was just doing, spoken word and stuff from way back in the day. He's kind of blown up right now. It's like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but there are some people who remember, let's cut to the chase. So it's always good to have that original crew that remember when. So that's pretty cool, man. One of the things you said that I thought was absolutely amazing is, being really looking doing some introspection, doing some self-development. One of the things I always, I'm a huge proponent of is investing in yourself. And this is not a plug for the masterclass. $60 to $7, but this is not a plug for the masterclass. But what I was going to say is we were talking in the backstage, and you were saying, that you're actually in a course right now, a voice class, and I would love for you to share a little bit about that. I think this is just such a great practice that people need to incorporate into their regular schedule, in their regular monthly flow. There should be something that is self-development, whether it's a book or an article or a podcast or a course or a masterclass or something that is going to help you to learn something new and really step outside of your comfort zone. But you were talking about this voice class, and I was absolutely intrigued. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, I just literally an hour before we went live, I wrapped up my 4th day of Zoom training. So they were 6-7 hour days every single day for the last 4 days. Wow. But it was really engaging. It was really well run, really well put together. It's with a vocal coach, Roger Love, who has worked with many amazing people,
Write
singers
that name
and
down,
actors.
Folks.
Yeah, Roger Love. Write it down.
Write it down.
I had taken he had a live event in August, and a friend had recommended it to me, which full disclosure, just being purely honest.
Please.
When it was recommended to me in the summer, hey, there's this, session on vocal, it's all about voices and you're at vocal training. And I said, oh, like, is there something wrong with my voice? Like my ego right away just said,
like,
why are you telling me this? I thought I
yeah,
was pretty decent at
yeah,
public
walls go
speaking.
up. Yeah.
But now you're kind of making me feel self-conscious about this. And then I paused. I put my ego aside and said, hold on, everyone, no matter what your craft, but as someone who shows up regularly in front of a live audience, someone who likes to
Wow.
teach, someone who likes to train, you can always get better. You can always learn something new. And when I went to that training, I learned so many things that I had never considered when it came to voice.
My
Started to
goodness.
recognize some things that I was doing that probably needed to change. And so when there was this opportunity to take this new training that he was offering this fall to actually help coach other people, I jumped on board and said, yes, I want to help other people find their voice, find the fit, make some improvements, and just really harness that craft.
Man, that is so good. This is the crux of what we hope to be here on this show as well. A time of learning, a time where you're going to hear something that maybe you didn't think of it that way before. And I think that, listen, we're off to the races already. If you don't have your pen and paper, man, Cat's already giving you immense value. Doesn't matter your vocation, doesn't matter your discipline, doesn't matter your expertise. You can get better, and you being in that constant pursuit of getting better is how you stay humble, and is how you stay on the cutting edge as well. And I mean, honestly, I love that perspective. I'm so glad we were able to kind of share that and introduce that to people as well. Talk to us in the comments a little bit about what you're doing in your own, month, quarter, annual schedule to be able to do just that much better. Talk to us in the comments about that while we get this next question from Cat. What's your live stream / content creator origin story, right? Everybody has this. You talked about starting your channel last year. There has to be some kind of impetus. Why go live? I would love to, some of us have taken boot camps and, you do the 30 days or 45 or 90 days going live or stuff like that. Everybody's got that piece, but there's got to be that why. I always say that there's a why. That why is what's going to get you over the hurdle. The why is going to keep you going when there's zero people and that zero is staring at you. And it's like when there's zero people, it gets bigger. It's like it gets huge. It's like that zero is so huge. But that why is what keeps people moving forward. And I always think it's so interesting to hear from people who have, let's be clear, you've experienced a measure of success. All right. And we'd love to hear, what does that story sound like?
Yeah. Well, two things come to mind immediately. One is that when I was trying to start my own business and trying to get out there, put myself out there, I was writing a lot of content. And I love writing, but after a while I realized, hold on, if I'm a trainer and I'm trying to tell people that I can teach you things, but they never actually hear my voice, they never actually see me in action, there's probably a bit of a disconnect.
Okay. I'm pretty certain it's going to take a second or two for everybody to find us again. And while they do, we'll just chat it up a little bit.
It happens to the best of us. I'm going to try and find this as well so I can.
Oh yeah. This is listen, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. That is what's for sure. Kerwin Bonnell says, are we back? I believe we are. Calico, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate that.
Oh, that's so nice, Callie.
Thank you so much, Callie. I appreciate that, man. Dealing with tech issues like pros. Hey, you gotta recover. All right, it's some point.
You just have to smile, laugh, and keep going. That's my mentality.
There you go. I'm glad we got at least a couple of you guys back, and we hope that others will be able to kind of make their way back in as well. We'll see. But we were in the middle of asking Kat a question about how she got started, and I'm gonna just kind of set that back up. I'm hoping that, again, like I said, we can get a few more people to jump back on here with us. But our YouTube folks have definitely come back. I see one or two on Facebook as well. So that's a good sign. Thank you guys for coming through. And thank you for bearing with us through the technical issues that we are facing. Still not 100% certain. We'll have to look at that in the aftermath of the show today. But welcome back. It's How It All Works, Convos and Collabs, where our guest today is Cat Mulvihill, and we're excited to have her here. She shared with us some really great nuggets in that part 1 version. That's what we're going to call it, part 1.
Yeah.
And we're ready for some of those, those nuggets. We want to continue with some of those nuggets of wisdom in part 2. So I'm going to put our question back up on screen, and that is, what's your live streaming / content creator story, and how did you get started? Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a why. What caused them to say, you know what, I'm gonna dive in. And I know you were sharing, you're kind of like midway through that story, but just kind of give us a little recap as we get things going
rewind
here. Yeah. People are still coming back in. We want to get that going again.
Absolutely. So how I got started is I was trying to find a way to get out there after I left my job working at the universities. I had worked in university environment for 14 years. Wow. And was trying to put myself out there. And I was originally writing blog posts and realized that maybe writing, even though I enjoyed it, was not necessarily the best way to let people know and signal to people that I want to teach you, hire me. So I thought I need to start incorporating getting my face out there. And I had signed up for Amy Porterfield's Digital Course Academy, where she was a really big advocate of going live, just getting out there, putting out your face, teaching things, dropping value. And in that community is where I learned about Luria Petrucci with Livestreaming Pros. And as soon as she started answering questions about how to run webinars and how to go live, and I thought, wow, this woman knows everything. I need to follow her. Mm-hmm. And I ended up eventually coming over to so actually I will say first, I did go live to Facebook a couple of times, real awkward, really quiet, just crickets. And I was so tense and still. And when I look back at those old videos, I kind of laugh at watching that very early live streaming experience. So then I decided to attend Leap into live streaming and saw Luria talk there, and she was talking about what she teaches, and I just thought I need to learn more. So I joined the Livestreaming Pros community, the Streamer Accelerator, and I took part in the Live Every Day in August challenge last summer. I had just built my channel. Yeah. I literally just started my YouTube channel, and then I thought, actually, being honest again, my ego got in the way because I thought, I've been speaking for years. It used to be my full-time job was to go and travel around and speak and do presentations. So in my head, I thought, I like this stuff. I'm good at this stuff. Yeah. Well, virtual, it's different. Going live is different. There are differences. And I'm so glad I got over that hump and I joined up for that challenge because it was like a crash course and I grew so fast in those 30 days. And I just got hooked on live streaming and I met some incredible people, like some people in the chat today. And that really made a huge difference for me. But as I said early on, I was still going live and not really having an audience. That didn't come later until I decided to shift my content and really start to deliver content that I noticed people were asking for. Right. And so that made a big difference.
Man, delivering on finding that audience, finding that that question that you answer is so critical. And I just love the way that you shared that. Finding these people, we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. It seems for those that have been following the channel, following the show for the past couple of Mondays, we've been talking about the need to have someone who's going to kind of coach you in a specific area. It is just like Kat has said multiple times, it is not a reflection on something bad about you. Actually, rather, it's the opposite. It indicates to everybody that I recognize that I can be better in this area. And there's people who are ahead of me on this, this journey, on this trail. And I would love to learn from them what it is that allows them to do this in this way. Luria is somebody that I've looked up to in the community for a very long time. I've actually been following some of her work way back, like Geek Beat TV, like stuff like that. Anyway, that's going way back for some folks. But man, I love that you kind of found that niche. What was the name? You said Amy Porterfield. That name sounds very familiar. Is that heroic public speaking? No,
she teaches primarily how do you run online courses. So I think early on it was more teaching people how to run webinars to convert people into your online courses. And then she created the Digital Course Academy. And so I had signed up for that course. And
Nice.
I do have some of my own courses as well. So I've taken a lot of what I learned from her in that course and
put it all
taken
together.
it with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That is really good. It's really good. I'm looking at the comments. They're moving very quickly. Let me see here. Thank you. This is great to watch while having breakfast. Oh, cool. Thank you so much. You're definitely on the other side. You're definitely on the other side of the world. Laura Williams says, catching the bottom of her comment here, I really appreciate the whole live streaming community, even though I am just a bit of a stalker at the moment. Oh, we don't call you a stalker, Laura. You all share some deep knowledge in your own ways. I could not resonate with you more, Laura. I think what Kat is sharing with us is definitely critical information. To know that somebody like Kat started off in that way will kind of give somebody the boldness to step out, because you have to have a start. Everybody's got an origin story, right? Even Pat Flynn, I got a chance to hear him tell his origin story, and it was like, oh wow, even you were horrible at one point, right? So there's definitely a ladder, definitely more to climb. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think a really great tip that I learned sometime in the last couple of years, but I remember it and I come back to it. Do not compare your beginning to someone else's middle. You can't. It's just, it's completely different. You cannot look at someone who's been doing this for a long time and just say, oh, there's something wrong with me. We all have to start somewhere. Just like you said, everyone has to start from the beginning. You are not going to know what you're doing. You're not going to necessarily be good right away. That is very rare. And even if you're good right away, you still have a lot that you can learn.
Right. That is, really good. Really, really good. Do not compare. The comparison game is the quickest way to demotivate yourself and really start to nitpick and listen, I was saying to somebody the other day, it's very difficult. One of the best parts of the process of growing, especially in content creation, live streaming, whatever it is you're looking to do, the best part of that process, in my opinion at least, is the review process, right? After you've done the live stream. Like, so after tonight, when I'm going back through and trying to figure out what in the world just happened to my live, right? That review process is where the learning happens. That review process is where all the next videos that are on my YouTube channel come from, right? That review process is where you can tweak, where you can fine tune. It's that review process is where the magic happens. But here's the clincher. You can't get to the review process unless you've actually done something. And so you actually have to put one foot in front of the other and do something in order to be able to review, in order to be able to tweak, in order to do it again and get better. And that's a cycle, and you got to get into that cycle. And I just love the way that you shared that. Again, want to throw this out here for our audience. Want to make sure you guys are getting some questions as well. Our audience question tonight is simply this. Have you ever used an additional software in concert with Zoom in order to level up your presentations, in order to take your meetings to the next level? There are several that are out there. I have a couple listed on the screen there. There's MMHMM, right? I know it's pronounced so people in my community know that I've shifted and just called it MH because I'm tired of saying But MH is a really cool one. Also has that virtual camera built in. OBS also has a virtual camera, which is pretty cool. And I've seen people really make that thing sing. And then Ecamm. And Ecamm is, that's how me and Kat connected, because we both are Ecamm fans and Ecamm fam. So
and fam, both.
Yes, fans and fam, right? Both of the above. Anybody that was at Leap Into Live Streaming Bootcamp this past September, you would have seen Kat, myself, and several other superstars on a panel doing a discussion about how you can level up your lives, your presentations, and your speaking engagements with some of these tools. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, put it in the chat. Let us know. Oh yeah, we're seeing some Ecamm love in the chat as well already. But let us know, have you ever used, like a third-party virtual camera or some kind of software that allows you to really level up your Zoom? I'd love to know what your answer is to that. Kat, have you used anything other than Ecamm?
So I have used Ecamm as my primary one. That's my go-to. I have used OBS, and I do teach people how they can use OBS because I realize it's a free option. It's
Right.
accessible to most people. I find it's not as demanding on your computer. Ecamm does require some power in order to do some of the fun stuff. And I've never used
It's
I'm
cool.
actually, that's really interesting. I'm just picturing someone saying it over and over. That would be really,
That's
that
why I said MH.
I could see myself getting really tired with that. I haven't tried that one. I would say the changes that Keynote recently made by adding the live camera option directly into the slides, that has some promise, but there are some, with all of these, there's promise and drawbacks. There are amazing features and also some potential drawbacks. So
Right.
I've definitely, those are kind of the ones that I've focused on.
Pros
and
and
apparently
cons.
PowerPoint is coming out with its own option. I think in the new year, it's going to allow you to add your own camera, your live camera as well over the slides.
Oh, wow. We have, I've used Canva because they have that video recording piece as well. And you can share that into a Zoom. So, you know, there's different ways, but the MH, definitely give that one a shot. It's worth checking out. It's pretty cool. And really is essentially Ecamm virtual camera. I mean, without Ecamm. Yeah. Kind of, sort of. Okay. Anyway, you're familiar with these, so you'll pick it up in a few seconds. But yeah, that I'm seeing some really good comments coming through already. Wow, that's good to remember. Don't compare. #wisdom cat. Great gems. Yes, the review, even though it's painful. Tanru King. I'm butchering your name. I'm so
RQ.
Yeah. RQ, that is gold. That is gold. Sammy Superstars is chatting with folks in the chat as well. When you reach the peak, you'll find there's always a new peak to conquer. CK, that's beautiful. Loving these gems. Ecamm fam. So we got a lot of Ecamm fam in the chat, but some people are saying that they have used OBS. I use OBS with virtual cables to connect my PC audio into Zoom and Zoom audio into OBS. Cool. RQ says he tried MH while it was in demo. Oh, she tried MH while it was in demo. I'm too used to OBS, so MH didn't seem as powerful. It's definitely not as powerful as Ecamm or OBS. So definitely, RQ says Cat knows me. I love this. The community comes together. I love to see that. Thank you all again for bearing with us. A lot of you have already, if you made your way back into the digital room here for us to continue to hang out. I see VMix for PC. CK says. And vMix does have a virtual camera as well. I neglected to add that to the list, but yes, I have some experience with vMix. It's a really great product. A good friend of mine, Leslie Samuel, uses vMix a lot, but he also uses Ecamm.
Prezi is another one that I tried
Prezi's
briefly.
Another one. That's right.
My only issue with all due respect to Prezi, it's not as intuitive for me. So anytime I would try to work on it, it felt a little bit hard for me to wrap my head around. And I know they're doing some really incredible stuff, and there are some people who use it really, really well. It just, for me, always felt like a little bit too much time. So I ended up not really dedicating the time to learn it properly, but I do know that's another option for Prezi's, bringing that into Zoom.
Yeah. I'm almost like copy paste what you just said about Prezi, because that's my experience. I know it's a great platform. I just haven't taken the time to really learn it and leverage it. Yeah. So, and it doesn't, I don't know. You also have to know how your brain works. And my brain really works very similar to the way Ecamm has been laid out. So it is a match made in heaven for me. It is a match made in heaven for me. And let me see this. Kerwin, listen, by all means, what you're seeing, the entire design here is something that was inspired by some of the other creators in the community that I have seen. So if you want to borrow this thing to design your own, feel free. I do not, I don't own any of the rights. I would not feel any way if I showed up on your stream. I'm like, hey, that looks like mine. So by all means, go ahead and borrow away. I appreciate your comment there. Kim says, I haven't used any as of yet. Still learning how to use Zoom for a PD course that I have created. Cool. vMix is the gold standard for PC. Listen, this is what I'm told. I have got a dual boot machine that I'm using here. But here's a question for you, Kat, that we want to put on screen. Let's get our audience question off. We'll put this one on. So, I mean, as people, I know there's always the technical side, and we're going to dive into that, you know, especially some of the things that you do in Ecamm to really help with your presentations and making it engaging. But I know there was some golden nuggets that you shared during our Leap into Live session in terms of what are some of the things that some of the key components, if you will, that make for an engaging presentation. I mean, listen, I love your website. The website says, let's face it, Zoom fatigue is real. And while she's answering that question, let me just go ahead and show you guys that site. It's catmulvihill.com. Our question is covering it, catmulvihill.com. Definitely go ahead and check that out. The link is in the description on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching this. So it's in the description. But yeah, Cat, Zoom fatigue is real. And so what are some of the components, non-technical components, that make up a really great presentation?
I'm glad you asked me that. And I actually, when I look at Kim's comment around, I haven't used any of the tech tools, still trying to learn to use Zoom. I recommend that. Getting to know how to just establish a well-run meeting, a Zoom presentation. Doing that without all the tech first is probably your best bet, so that you can just get comfortable with the meeting, comfortable with the software, and also just starting to really focus on some of the techniques that you can use to engage an audience.
Wow.
Once you have those down, then you can start to bring in some of the other things that can help you, but the tech can sometimes be a distraction. So if you aren't already focused on trying to learn some of the key skills for how to lead a meeting, how to facilitate a meeting, keep it flowing, keep people feel like they are welcome there and that they're part of this group, because a lot of people can sort of feel invisible in a meeting and start to tune out and just kind of disconnect and feel like no one would notice if I wasn't here. Trying to find ways to engage your audience in different ways, because not everyone's going to want to be on camera. Not everyone's going to want to talk. You might also not have time for that. Right. But if you can start to focus on some of those other skills, it can really take you a long way. And so I would say, don't get hung up or caught up on the tech side. Also, tech can go wrong.
It sure can.
And if it does, you need to be able to roll with it and still try to host an engaging meeting. And so one of the things that I would really emphasize is knowing that the camera steals some of your energy, and that while you think you might seem like you're engaged and interested in your topic, you should actually take it up another 10 to 20%. So that's one big thing.
That's
the
huge.
Other part is looking into the camera. And yes, I may have a teleprompter, but actually 80% of the time when I'm on meetings, I'm not using my teleprompter. I am just looking at the camera. I have trained myself to look into the camera. People notice there's a difference, and they don't always know why. They just know they're looking at you more than they usually look at other speakers. Right. Most speakers are kind of glancing down a little bit. They're not actually looking directly at you. They might be looking at you, but they're not looking into the camera. And so when you can do that, that will also engage your audience in another way. And it's a really simple thing that you can start to practice and train yourself to do.
Yeah. I'm so glad we were able to kind of spotlight that part. I'm hoping again, you know, for the folks in the comments, that you are paying attention, that you have your pen and paper out, because this is gold. That technical piece, some may have glossed over, that the camera really does steal some of your energy. And so even if you feel like I am a high energy person, that translation across camera sometimes isn't, you know, it's not direct. So you may have to kick it up another notch or 2 or 10 to be able to really have that thing translate across to everybody, where they can feel like, man, this is something, and they can almost plug into it. It's almost, you know, it's something that pumps them up as well. And it really does. I'm telling you, these are techniques that I've used as well when I do some of my virtual public speaking, and it really does help. It really does help. When you get people involved, you start calling people's names. It's one of the things actually I love about Zoom is the fact that it's all there. And so I can be in the chat. I can say, I see you, you know, RQ, or I see your question, Mike and Virgil and Kim and Elaine. I can just, you know, call those names out very quickly and easily, and begin to really, you know, get that feedback that you're looking for, even though, you know, you're miles apart, right? It's all virtual. Yeah. So those are some really great ones, and I'm glad that we're able to share some of those. We're always willing to take questions, and we are coming up on our final question for Kat, so I want to make sure that we get some of yours in here. And I see we may actually have one. Is that one that you are that Kerwin is saying there? You are correct, Kat. The teleprompter does not do it for me. I need to make it a raw discussion. So I know for me, I have trained myself like Kat has to really focus in and pay attention to the teleprompter, except when I'm self-producing. So when I'm self-producing, no, everything goes out the window. But when I am presenting, I try to be laser focused on really focusing in on the camera. And I think that absolutely has an impact. Living Water Quilter says, I am encountering the on-off camera challenge. A recent Zoom host said, if you are not on camera, you cannot speak / join the audio conversation. What are your thoughts? It depends on the meeting. What do you think, Kat?
So I'm not a fan of that rule because I know that people are coming from different areas. Yeah. Not everyone actually has bandwidth to be able to support having their camera on the whole time. Also, there are ways for you to be fully engaged in a meeting and not have the ability to have your camera on. Yeah. And I think one of the key points is that engagement does not mean interaction. Interaction shows engagement, but it's not exclusive. There can be people who are 100% engaged and paying attention. They are in that meeting. They feel like they're part of that meeting, even if their camera's off, even if they never speak, even if they never type a single thing. Right now, you could have someone on this stream who is fully engaged in our conversation and they haven't typed a thing in the chat, but they are paying attention. They are locked in. That is engagement. And so I think telling a person you have to be on camera, well, that's not inclusive, because there are going to be people who cannot be on camera. If you can be on camera, I absolutely recommend it. It connects with the person speaking. If you've ever been running a meeting where a bunch of people have their camera off, it's more challenging. Yeah. And people notice. So with the example of my training, there were around 50 people in this training over the last 4 days that I took part in. And the first 2 days, I had my camera on. The third day, I did not feel well. I physically was fighting off a little something. Luckily, I feel a lot better today. But yesterday, I was not feeling well. And so I kept my camera off. And the host said, hey, I hope you're okay. We've seen you the last couple of days. I see your camera's not on, but hope they kind of acknowledged. And then today when I was back on camera, they said, hey, I really missed seeing you on camera yesterday. And it was just because it does make a difference for the person running the meeting. Yeah. So if you have the bandwidth and you are able to be on the camera, I do recommend it, but I would not recommend that practice of saying you can't talk if you don't have your camera on.
That's good.
Not a fan.
That balance between the two that you just did there, gold, because as a presenter, it is almost demoralizing to look at a bunch of black screens with names. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. If you have the bandwidth, just know that your presenter would truly appreciate it, even if they don't require it. Now, I'm also agree on the flip side that it is a bit. I lived and worked in Africa for a number of years. I still have a lot of meetings with colleagues and friends over there, and in other places as well, because there are actually some of my friends who have better internet than I do in Africa. So I don't want to make it seem like that's my point. But the thing is, there are people who don't have the best internet and cannot turn on their camera. It's actually just enough for them to get into the meeting. Sometimes they can't even talk. They can't even turn on their mic because they don't have the bandwidth to be able to do that. So I don't believe in making the blanket, hey, every camera's on or else you can't talk. But I will just say, if you want to know how to be a good Zoom attendee, these are some of the things that you can do. Turn your camera on, right?
Yeah. I messaged a friend. I said, I give good audience because I look at the camera when the presenter is speaking. And I think that's one of the reasons that the host for this meeting actually specifically called me out. The first 2 days was because I was engaged. I was looking at the camera whenever I could. I would obviously look at them sometimes, but I was trying to signal that I am here, I'm paying attention, and I am resonating with what you were saying. It is landing with me. I was nodding my head. I was acknowledging it. Wow. Because I know that makes a difference for the host and for the person presenting.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and that's the piece I think that we really wanted to kind of hone in on. It's also about how different brains work. The stress of being on camera can actually keep some people from absorbing the content. Your tech coach says that's what your tech coach's comment is, and I think it's really good. Understanding how your brain works as well. And then Ben Shea Morgan is here. That's my guy. I was texting with him earlier today. Thank you so much for coming through. I've seen people use screenshots of themselves to make it seem like their camera is on. It's hilarious. It is hilarious, but it didn't necessarily work. It's just, anyway.
Although there are sometimes people who are on camera and they look like they might as well be a picture because they're just staring off the whole time. It's almost funny to see the level of zombie that some people that show on the camera. Not to call anyone out. But.
RQ says having an energetic profile Zoom pic is great when camera is off. Yep. Listen, I'll take anything. And I think Kerwin, I couldn't agree with you more here, where he says if bandwidth is an issue, right, by all means turn the camera off, but at least unmute and ask some questions. This is how you can be a really good attendee. And this is kind of a tangent where we didn't really plan to get into how to be a good attendee of these virtual meetings, but I think that it is so critical because it does make a difference. I know for me, there are things you might do this as well, Kat, where you're speaking at an event and you'll show up a day or two early to kind of, now it's virtual, but to just kind of drop in to some of the other presenters to see what the room looks like, to read the room, to feel the room, to gauge the energy in the room. And sometimes you get in there and you're like, oh man, this is going to be tough because they're not giving the speaker anything. And then other times you get in and you're like, oh, sweet, this is going to be great. They've primed the pump, they've already got them trained and ready to go. And so, as speakers and presenters, these are some of the things I think that is really good to be able to share with folks as they learn about how some of this stuff works. You see what I did there? How it all works. My guy, Kerwin Bornell, and the super chat, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate the super chat. Do we have the DJ horn? Yes, we do. Thank you so much, Kerwin Bornell, for the super chat. Kat, we got one final question for you. And again, folks, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the comments because we want to make sure that we prioritize those as much as we can. And as Kat is getting ready to answer this question, I want to make sure you guys are aware that you can grab tickets to the after party, the Zoom after party, immediately following the show on my support page, buymecoffee.com/KirkRNugent. Members and supporters of the page have already received an email reminding them about the after party, and members, mastermind group members, workers members, you guys get free tickets. But here's our question. Kerwin Burnell, your super chat's still on the screen. Thank you so much. But here's our question, Kat. I mean, so now we've dealt with the non-technical, right? We want to, is there anything, what are some of the things that could be useful, let's say with Ecamm, right? Share with us some Ecamm tricks you've used to really elevate, your Zoom presentations. When the tech works, it can be a beautiful thing. So we've had a perfect example today of when the tech doesn't work, but when it does work, it can be a beautiful thing. And so we'd love to hear from you some of the things that you do to be able to really hone in on that.
Yeah, I would say for any software where you are bringing in graphics into Zoom, first, just know that you are hacking Zoom. So the resolution of your video, sort of that little window that you show up in, that is not a high resolution window. Zoom is doing everything it can to conserve bandwidth. And so when people work really hard on these beautiful graphics and designs, and then they bring it in through their virtual camera, and then they find out, wait, that didn't look good. That was blurry. It's really, really disheartening. Yeah. However, I always like to remind people that you are taking a tool that was not meant to do this, and then you're adding a layer on top of it. So you're hacking Zoom. So I just want to put that out there first.
Keep that because yes, this is true.
People will get very frustrated. So one of the things you can do, first of all, is just focus on large print. Like if you want to bring in your name, kind of like how we have names on our screen here, doing that in a size that's really easy to read, that's really legible and accessible writing, that will show up. People will see that. And if you kind of do an animation, it's impressive. People will notice it. So I would say if you are showing things on your screen, making them a large font that's really easy to read, If you have to share small details, I actually would just prefer you to use your screen share, or if you want to use Ecamm to share finer details, that's where I would actually output the production of your Ecamm or OBS or vMix to a second monitor, and then actually screen share your second monitor. And so you're actually sharing the production at a much higher quality, because Zoom screen share resolution is much, much higher than your video. And there are, I mean, you can ask for 1080 HD on your Zoom account. You won't always get it depending on what level you are. And even when you get it, I had there's a company I worked with, and they showed me the actual support ticket response from Zoom saying all the things that you have to do in order for your 1080 to even work. And it was a laundry list. It is really hard, even if you turn on HD with Zoom. Actually getting it is a whole other thing. So that's why I try and say, keep it simple, start with some large graphics, try not to do anything super complicated or really, really fine details. Use screen share for that.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say don't use it. I just really want people to know, because it's disappointing to feed your virtual camera into Zoom and realize that your audience can't actually see anything.
Right. They can't take advantage of all that you've done to really make it sing. And that's unfortunate. You know, it's very unfortunate. But I think you've given some really practical tips, tricks, and techniques to utilizing Ecamm in Zoom. And I think that people can walk away with some of that stuff as well. I see Ben Shea saying, the frame rate drop on Zoom makes me weep. Yes, we weep with you, sir. We weep with you. I want to catch one question here before we go into the Plug Your Hustle session. This is where we're going to hear from Kat. She's going to tell us a little bit about some of the stuff that she's got going on, how we can find and follow. But Virgil is asking the question, hey, Kirk, nice to see you. What are you using to stream? I love how it looks. Well, we're using Ecamm Live. The pro version of Ecamm Live is what we're using tonight. And that's everything. The whole design, everything is done in Ecamm, and I'm glad that you like it. Thank you so much for coming through tonight and asking that question. So catmulvihill.com is the website that you want to go to. There it is on the screen right now. If I could get my question off of the screen, it'll look a little better. There it is on the screen right now. And of course, I mean, listen, go ahead and check out. I always say this. Do an informed subscribe. Don't just go and subscribe, folks. Go click around, look at some of the videos. If the content is up your alley, if this is where, you know, it's really helping, then by all means, hit that subscribe button, turn the bell on, because she's churning out some really good creative content, especially for presenters, especially for Zoom, for workshops, for facilitators. It is really, I mean, what you have here is a body of work that is really is commendable, because I know I have used it as a resource. I have done consults with folks where I'm like, you need to check out this video from Kat. She does a really good job of breaking it down, simple terms, not too fast. Trust me, I've watched these things, and I'm loving your growth on the platform as well. 6.6K subscribers. That is dope. Congratulations to you for that. But
I just have to say, I love the informed subscribe thing. And because I think early on, same with YouTube, when I very first started, I was like, hey friends, subscribe to my channel.
Yeah.
But if they never watch your content, what message does that send to YouTube? Also, YouTube's like, well, their subscribers aren't even watching it. So why would we recommend this to anybody?
That's oof. That is a whole class in and of itself, what you just shared right there. And yes, the informed subscribe, test the waters, kick the tires first, make sure it's scratching where you're itching, and then hit that subscribe button. Kat, take a second right now. We're about to close it up. Talk to folks about where they can follow you. I know I've shared a couple of places. If there are any projects, anything new that you have coming up that people can support, you said you have some courses, all of that stuff. Just take a second right now to kind of just plug your thing.
Yeah, so I have a course called Elevate Your Online Presentations, where I kind of walk you through 4 different areas: prepping, presenting, and then elevating with that technology, and also engaging your audience. So I focus on all of those areas, not just tech, but the other aspects. I also do teach Notion. I'll just put a little plug there. I am an
Nice.
instructor within. Marie Poulin runs the course Notion Mastery, and she brought me on to help with some of the instruction. We're actually going to be doing some live training really soon. So if anyone's really getting into Notion, or they want to do their content creation, or they want to plan their business using that tool, I've got some pretty cool training that's coming up. And I think I've got some links in some of my Notion videos to go and check out that course as well.
Excellent.
And because I love that as well.
Yeah.
I love a lot of things. I am a multi-passionate person and sometimes just can't help myself.
No, but Notion is one that I've dipped my toe in twice now, and it didn't click. So I may be looking to hearing what you guys got going on, because
good.
I know it's a
good.
great platform, and I mean I have a database design background. I'm an IT professional by trade and training, so it should click, but it hasn't yet. So we'll see what happens. I would love to check out some of the stuff that you got going on. Thank you everyone for your comments, for coming through, for hanging out, and for hanging with us throughout the little mishap that we had in the middle of the show there. And let me just say a word of thanks to you, Kat, for coming through this week. I know we're going to hang out in the after party in here just a second, but I wanted to take this time publicly, and while the stream is still live, to say thank you for coming and hanging out with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Kirk. It was a pleasure. And thanks
Excellent.
everyone for sticking it out with us. I appreciate that.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So we are moving on to, what do we have? Who do we have next on the show? Next, we have on the show Toya Glenn. Toya Glenn is a remote producer. Her platform of choice is StreamYard, so we're going to get into that a little bit. And I'm excited for you to be able to meet her and to hear about this Brainiacs thing that she's got going on with her business partner, and it's gonna be amazing. So we want to make sure you come back next week, Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. What is that? That's 8 o'clock in the East, and that's 5 o'clock in the West, for another conversation and collaboration here at How It All Works. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. Again, thank you for, dealing with the speed bump of the little mishap there where we went offline. I'm going to definitely tear it all apart and try and figure out, what happened there. And maybe, hey, you might get a little video from that as well. But my saying here, these conversations, collabs are really to be able to share with you some nuggets of wisdom, to give you some different perspectives, to introduce you to creators and thought leaders, authority figures, if you will, in different spaces, and allow you to experience them in a way that is definitely different than what you would before. But essentially, we want to make sure that you're able to figure out how it all works. And we will see you in the next video. Later.